welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan read-through podcast. My name's Peter Bond. I've read every book in the main series, but my co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello, all.
Our producer, AJ Imma.
Hello, everybody.
And pork fried rice and a quart of wonton, it's Josh Baker.
Yo, I was gonna say take me out to dinner first, but done. Ready to go now.
Today on the show, we're talking about chapters 4, 5, and 6 of the Bonehunters.
Pete, that nickname comes from my lovely brother, Lou Filari. Thanks for giving the nickname.
Thanks, Lou.
And for donating to the show.
More importantly,
Are you guys fried rice people or lo mein people? I'm a lo mein bitch.
I'm just a plain rice person.
Ew.
Sorry, I get plain rice, but I usually get the General Tso's chicken, so I mix it up with the sauce and stuff.
Oh, look at God, your poor taste buds.
Sorry, I have a refined palate.
Aj, not the order I would go with, but the plain rice is a solid pick.
Thank you.
I disagree. I'm with you, Josh. Lo mein all the way.
Thank you.
Gosh. We got a rice cooker recently. It's changed my life. Our rice always comes out good.
You gotta have a rice cooker. What else?
It comes out good. We got one for $15. Crazy.
Wait, Can you make all kinds of rice with that? Like Spanish rice?
I've made Spanish rice in my rice cooker. It comes out nice.
There you go.
That's really good to know, because I can't make rice. Every time I make it, I fuck it up.
Yeah. I got so tired of being bad at it when I lived with Peter. Like I fucked up rice every single week, it felt like, and that was like one of the first things I bought when I got a job was a rice cooker. I was like, I've made it.
Every time I make it, it's just like congealed. Like it's just like a bowl of oatmeal in there.
Yeah. My hottest tip is to just get the cheapest rice cooker you can find, because they all work on the same technology.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna look into that.
Guys, I had a fun intro I was gonna do, but
sorry,
this is better. This is fine. I worked at a Chinese place for a while. Sounds great. We can get into it, but
what was your intro?
All I was going to say is I think I introduced what chapters we were reading, and I've completely stopped doing that. I haven't introduced what the book is, who Steven Erikson is, the chapters we're reading. I've stopped for dozens of episodes now.
You're nothing if not consistent.
Really? Are you sure?
I just feel like I hope this isn't the episode people are starting with.
Well, that would be, sorry to say, psychotic. If this is the episode people decided to just pick up.
Yeah.
Or if they pick it up and have no idea what this show is.
Like, this is your first episode ever. You just can't do that.
I hope you like Chinese food.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
who doesn't?
Two sisters, and one of them kills the other one without knowing.
All right, we're feeling frisky today. Before we get into chapter 4, just wanted to plug Mugu Gai Pan, the best dish to order.
What is Mugu Gai Pan? I always wonder, what is it?
You should just order it and trust me, bro. Trust me, that's the good stuff. Okay,
that's really good.
I'm just gonna
I've never
Google
even heard of that.
Mugu Gai Pan.
People don't want to order it because they don't know what it is.
Right,
but
it's very good.
It's really a great dish. It doesn't get enough love. That's my opinion.
It's just chickens and veggie and sauce.
Is there fish in it?
That's like when you just put it that way derisively.
I'm not saying derision. I think it looks good.
It's delicious. Yeah. Anyway, AJ, how's this for radio? Is this good?
This is great. I worked at the same Chinese place that Pete did, because Pete got me a job there. And
you worked there fleetingly compared to my senior tenure.
Okay, but I worked there. Don't gatekeep my job history, please. Thank you.
You fuck.
It is true. AJ did work there.
Fleetingly.
But it was great.
Let it be known.
Anyway, let's start the show now that I've tried to belittle AJ for no reason.
I'm so tiny.
Sorry, buddy. Let's get it going. Chapter 4. Mappo and Akarium come across a crevasse and delve within it. They find a Kachain Chamal sky keep, along with a short-tailed corpse and a flying machine within an icy lake. Mappo is worried about Akarium and the sky keep, but they decide to explore within. A monastery to the Worm of Autumn, Drek, is the site of a great slaughter. Everybody within is dead. Cutter and company come across it. Felison asks if Scillara will take care of her. Then they speak together of Bidethal, Greyfrog, and Felison's mother. Then a portal opens up and a Segula appears. He tells Haboric everybody in this realm is dead. He is the soldier of High House Death and salutes Haboric. They speak about the tyrant of Darujistan, the Cabal, and then he leaves. Cutter thinks that he must go home. Mappa and Akarium find a strange, gravity-defying passageway as they continue to explore the Skykeep. Deep within, they find a dragon impaled on it. Inkarium knows it as the dragon that was once aspected to the Warren of Sky. Apslar travels through the Shadow Warren and finds Urko Crust in his Tower of Fossils. Urko first thinks she is Cotillion's daughter, but realizes his mistake. They speak deeply then of the man Urko knew as Dancer and who she knows as Cotillion. Urko thinks Cotillion would keep his word and eventually leave her alone if she finishes his tasks. Dejem Nabral hunts, and Terlak Veed is not far behind him. Scillara has morning sickness, and Greyfrog watches. After she speaks with Cutter about his tasks, God, and women. Greyfrog speaks with Felison Younger. Everybody is having bad dreams, and danger is coming for them. Far across the desert, Leomin and the remaining rebels come to the city of Yucatan. After being disrespected by the Falad of the city, Leomin kills him and claims command of the city. He names the Malazan Dun Sparrow as his third, and he is named Falad. Then, Leomin rides into his city. Josh, the chapter opens up. Mappa and Akarium are venturing into this Sky Keep, and we're underground. It's like this discovery. We see one of the flying machines and a short tail. And like our first impression of the K'chain Shamal was in Memories of Ice, of course. You know, we meet them, they're undead, there's blah, 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 blah. But this is like a deeper thing, and we're seeing these Sky Keeps close up, and we're venturing within them. How did seeing these Sky Keeps build on your impression of the K'chain Shamal, and what did you make of this kind of exploration scene?
Really, I did not expect to. So in some ways, I feel like Steve has changed the rules of his series dramatically when this chapter began, because like I fully believed, as did I think a lot of people in universe believe, that the K'chain Shamal were extinct and like kind of just gone from the world at large. And we've really changed the game, which is kind of like learning that no, they're still here. Their keeps are kind of maybe traveling the Warrens. I don't know. I was very confused though, because like the characters who have so far found the K'chain Shamal, their response has been like, oh, they're dangerous. We got to be careful. Like I'll put like it's like if AJ and I were walking through the woods and then there was a T-Rex, right? Like AJ is Mappa and Akarium, and their response is, whoa, a T-Rex, better watch out. And my response is, what the fuck is going on? That's not supposed to be here. And no one is reacting that way, and it's kind of confusing to me, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
You think people should be like, oh my god, an extinct race? Like,
yeah,
blah,
an
blah,
extinct
blah, blah.
race that is like, no, I mean, I get it, they're also dangerous, but like, I mean, I guess if you live in a world where you can just fucking talk to gods, I guess crazy shit is a bit less crazy, but I don't know. I found all the reactions to like all this stuff strange, personally. So, the exploration, though, was very, very cool, and man, I was so disinterested in Mappa and Akarium, and I still am a little bit, but I'm at least now invested in seeing some sad boy time with the two of them, because they are on the precipice of something, and I don't know what it is, and I feel bad for them. But
they are on a precipice.
Yes.
AJ, what did you make of this sequence?
I thought it was neat. I don't know. I am concurrently reading Dead House Gates as well. And so I recently have just encountered a similar scene where Akarium finds something old and is like, did I do this? Or Mappa was like, did he do this? And Akarium's like, I wonder who did this. So it's interesting that we're still in this same loop which is something I know you guys have talked about being kind of frustrated with. It's like, oh, we're just back at the beginning now in terms of how this arc is going. But I thought it was cool. I don't know, seeing a keep like the biggest look we've gotten into like Moonspawn is at the end of Memories of Ice, right? Like when they go inside to the crypt or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tad there, right?
Yeah, and even that, yeah, right. Even that is just like, well, Moonspawn's dead and we're inside this thing. But like, I mean, later, I guess when they go in, we see a lot more of like how these Skykeeps kind of worked, which I thought was really interesting. But just the idea of the K'chain Shamal as a race having these floating cities is really, really wild, because like there are other races that are like human shaped, I guess. And I guess in my head, it's like, oh, well, yeah, I know how humans fly things. But for this like dinosaur race to be like, ah, yes, we've made flying cities. Like I can't even begin to think how they move them, which I guess is just like big magic. I don't know, but it's cool. I like it.
AJ, play the K'chain Shamal theme music for me.
What the fuck?
K'chain Shamal, K'chain Shamal,
K'chain Shamal,
K'chain Shamal,
K'chain Shamal.
Thank you.
That'll be it. Maybe I'll re-record it with my voice so that it actually is the K'chain Shamal.
K'chain
We'll see.
Shamal.
The K'chain Shamal. I'll probably do that.
We'll work it in. My point is this: I wanted to not drop in. If anything, take to the skies.
Nice.
Because we are seeing more of the K'chain Shamal. Probably my default best, like, fucking drizzle all of this over my Sunday, baby. This is it. I'm in the gravity well. I'm in the Skykeep. My hands are swords.
I'm in the combination gravity well and Skykeep.
Hey, are all of their hands swords? I've always been a little confused.
No, you fool.
That's what I thought. I was like, how they drive ship with sword? I didn't make any sense.
Well, they got feet.
Fuck you, they got
you
feet.
fool. You sound so silly.
I think explicitly the short tails don't have swords for hands. I think we learned
That's
that
what I thought. And the
in
long
House of Chains.
And which ones are the more powerful spawn of the other? Isn't like one of them more like they're like one race but kind of not? Like what is it again, Pete?
I am not clarifying anything.
We know this though. We've learned this.
Yeah.
In the fourth book.
I think the short tails are more powerful. I think the K'chain Shamal have swords for hands, but I think the short tails are like
short tails are different.
Yes.
And I do think you're right. The thing is this, I got to be honest, I have no clue what you guys know in regard to the K'chain Shamal. So I'm just sticking my mouth in the upright position.
In the fourth book, I don't think it was the fifth, because we didn't talk about K'chain Shamal. In House of Chains, I'm pretty sure we learned about the two types, and that one of them was created by the other, and that the one that was created became more powerful and kind of caused the rift that then led to their eventual like infighting and kind of the end of them.
Yeah, that's the short tails. They were kind of re-resurrected, and then there was this like whole battle because like there's a kind of a different philosophical thing going on there.
And all of it, and
love the K'chain Shamal.
And it's been confirmed, I think, with Kalam and Quickbend that these ones are full of short tails, right?
Yeah.
It's always so interesting when, to me, like, I think the books are really talky in a weird way, because, like, I may not think about it sometimes, but, like, we're going to talk about Cutter and Scillara and all them, and, like, or Samar Dev and Karsa. Most of those scenes pretty much is just people talking. There's pretty much nothing but conversation in those scenes. Do you mean? Yeah. So it's kind of funny to me when you take a sequence like this, which is such, like, a spelunking sequence, it kind of almost stands out to me as... since it's essentially wordless and essentially the two of them are just within the belly of this thing. With that said, I think we can actually we have a second chance to talk about Skykeeps a little later on. Ooh. So let's turn our attention across the desert. India, this whole crew's traveling together, and Fellison Younger and Scillara are having this conversation with each other. What did you make of it, and what do you think Fellison Younger is looking for?
I think Fellison, pretty much I'd say that conversation was just kind of like a girl looking for some guidance, looking for a mother figure. She seems just a little, I think that maybe she's realizing that she had to grow up a little too fast, living where she lived, not really knowing her mom, being sold off at a young age. And then Fellison kind of adopted her, old Fellison, but was never really a mother figure either because she was like 14 or however old she was, I don't know, 18, I don't know, regardless. So now Scillara is the next best thing. She's just hopping from mother to mother, it seems like at this point. She doesn't really, I think that she is just unsure of what a mother is supposed to be. So any female like figure around her, I think that she's just like, mom.
How do you feel about Scillara as a would-be mother figure?
Love her so much. I mean, I vibe in Scilara's head.
What? But like Scillara straight up says she's just gonna give her baby away because that's what moms do in the Seven Cities. Like if that's the case, I don't know. That feels more like trauma speaking than like what all moms do.
I don't know if she's saying that is like what she's going to do. I think that's just like, well, this is the only.
She explicitly said, "Can't wait to pop this baby out and give it away." Is what she said.
I think when I read it, it was more of a like, well, this is how I've like grown up learning. This is how mothers take care of their babies. So like, how am I going to raise a kid? I don't know.
Yeah.
I see.
I
what
think
you're
that's
saying.
a very responsible thought, unless she sells her for money.
That is what she said she's going to do, though. Yeah. That's the issue. Like, I'm not prepared to deal with this, but I should find someone who is great. And then parentheses, to make that money. Not great.
Yeah.
You know what? It is what it is out here. Times are hard. Cut Scillara.
You gotta do what you gotta do, you know?
I don't want this.
Josh, Inge says she's vibing with Scillara. What about you?
No, but like, I don't know. This whole crew is my least favorite part so far.
What the fuck?
What?
Are you kidding?
Yeah. No.
You have lost your mind.
You've absolutely lost your mind.
I'm sorry. I think it's like it's an interesting dynamic, but I just like don't know what the fuck they're doing besides trying to get to the Jade Hand. I don't know. Haboric has lost me a bit in general. Like I find it difficult to engage with an insane character, and that is currently what it feels like Haboric is. And so whenever he is in the scene, I'm instantly like, I just don't love it. And he's in a lot of the scenes. I do like the temple scene with the cool soldier. That's incredible. I love all of it, but and the exposition with the Segula, but like the day to day, like them going around and just, you know, we're in the desert. It's not for me.
They're all just in the fucking desert.
Yeah, they're all in the desert.
But there's like desert, and then there's like desert. You know, like Leoman's in the desert.
Bro, you are insane. If these 3 chapters were literally just different scene pairings of it's like, well, now it's Cutter and Fellison Younger, and now it's Cutter and Grey Frog, and now we're going to do Haboric and Scillara, and we just spent time going back and forth between different pairs, I would prefer that to seeing any other scenes.
I agree.
Any other scenes.
Yes.
My problem is I feel like in this group we have a demon who is essentially comedic relief and I guess occasionally a warning.
I could leave Grey Frog. I agree.
And then we have a crazy man who just spouts off stuff that's only cool if you've already read the books because he's giving hints. And then you got a mom who is mad that she's a mom right now, and that's most of what she says when I read it. I don't really, and I don't. And
my God,
Fellison Younger isn't a character yet. She has not said enough words to be a character.
Oh my God, bro.
That is my opinion on this group. I don't love it.
I take issue with the Fellison Younger is not a character because
she's a character in the book, but like, what would you say are her defining traits?
Well,
I'm gonna leave the podcast.
if Josh, if we're just talking this specific book, I get, I guess, kind of not a lot, but her in context of the rest of her whole story of like where she came from and how she acted in House of Chains and like where, you know, what her whole vibe was there. I think this is a really interesting part of Fellison Younger's story. Like on I'm reading a quote now. She says, I feel as if I'm going backwards. I felt older back in Rariku. Now with every day, I feel more and more like a child. And it's just like, that's so interesting to me because in the last episode, I think I said like, I didn't really know what she was doing because it felt like she is like a kid now. And for that to be the point, I guess, I think is actually pretty interesting because I don't know if throughout any of these books, we've seen a kid deal with like what it's like to be a kid in this whole thing, You know what I mean?
I would say we've had it at least a couple times. Last book, we had the dead one. I can't remember her name right this second.
But Kettle wasn't like
She wasn't
having
like
an
a
internal
kid.
struggle of like, what's it like to be a child? Because Kettle was like,
I kind of get what you're saying, but like, I don't know. I feel like this book has the books so far have had several children characters who have all just been like are all kind of off the deep end, and Fellison's like the most normal of them. You know, Grub is just a prophecy spouting madman. I don't know. We can move on. This is just not my cup of tea. It's not my favorite part of the book.
I can get mad at Josh again, but what is obviously we're on the same page about this plot line, these plot lines.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it's interesting that little Fellison is like copying Scillara as well. Like,
with the Durhang, yeah.
Like she had copied, I feel like, older Fellison with her when she was being like a little sassy in the last book. She was trying to like emulate her, and now there's Scillara, and she's like, well, let's try this out. You know, just growing up.
yeah, and that's what I think is so interesting about it.
I agree.
And their conversation about Bidethal, very interesting, I find, you know, and talking about them in the relationship to him, who kind of obviously hangs over as a shadow, you know. I think for me, the reason and then we should move on, but I think the reason here, well, since we're around, the next question I wrote down, we're staying in the pot, AJ, Cutter speaks here about feeling like a leader and that like the group wants him to lead them. You know, why do you think he feels that way?
Well, I mean, Haborik straight up says to him.
Yeah, they do.
Haborik is the one that says like, "Hey, you're a leader." Like he fully just says that sentence. So what do you? But
it's clear that outside of Haborik saying that Cutter feels the pressure on him already. Do you mean?
Yeah,
and I wonder, where do you think that's coming from?
I think just by the nature of the situation, like he has taken this initiative, and I think he kind of feels like he was like appointed in some way by like Iscarl Pust or like Cotillion or Shadowthrone or whoever to like watch after this group and like accompany them. So that's I think he's just kind of acting on that, and is also kind of just like acting on his impulses now, which are just like survive at all costs. Whereas Scillara and Fellison's are kind of just like, I'm here hanging out. And Haborik's is like, I'm just a crazy person with no hands. And Grey Frog
the Jade people.
and Grey Frog's whole thing is just like, I'm in love with Fellison Younger. So I think out of all of them, I don't think Crocus really has a choice. And I think he sees that, like, if he didn't do it, nobody else would, I think.
India, do you agree? Do you think the others like need a leader?
No.
What would they be doing? I mean,
he's not even a good leader.
Yeah, I was to say he's not a good leader.
I have such a dissenting thought on this one too.
We don't need you. Doesn't mean we don't want you, but we don't need you.
Yeah, it's what like Scillara says this chapter, right?
Don't fuck around and think that we do need you.
I feel like what they need is they need to know who's going to be the one to make the decision in the emergency scenario. Because if they don't accept Cutter now, then like I feel like he's the most ready to give solutions in crunch time. You know what I mean? And like they need to be ready for that. And I also feel like Cutter has been needing to. I've wanted Cutter to be a leader like since the beginning, and this is his first chance at it. And he has such a shit crew to try and work with in terms of like able to get out of a hairy situation.
Yeah, well, I think
I like Cutter as leader.
We're about to.
You like Cutter as leader?
Yeah. I have such a dissenting opinion on this. I'm so sorry.
Listen. Crocus Younghand is my favorite character in the series, but he is not a good leader for this crew, and I would reject the idea that they need to be led, you know? Reject that outright, you know?
I guess. I don't know. I think I'm with Josh more or less. It's like in an emergency situation, someone's going to have to make a call.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I guess if they were playing a game of touch football, someone needs to make a call, but that's what are we talking about here, bro?
Well, like this emergency situation that has just arrived at the end of these sections, this book rather, of like something is coming. We don't know what it is. I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be a lot of Haborik doing weird magic stuff, and then Scillara, Cutter, and Fellison trying to escape. And I think Cutter being the like seasoned warrior of that pack of the three of them, I think is going to help. I don't know.
So, Josh, you mentioned that this scene where the Scillara appears, the soldier of High Owl's death, really like stood out to you. Like, obviously, I think it kind of stands out for an obvious reason. What did you take away from the scene, and why did it grab you?
What I got out of the scene is that the Scillara are much like the Mandalorian sect that we see in The Mandalorian, where they have like retreated to the old ways. And I did not expect that because, like, you know, everyone talks about the Scillara as if this is what they've always done, but I find it so interesting that this dude is like, nah, we used to be cool. I don't know why they don't fucking talk. Like, chill out, guys. I love that he's just so casual about it. The guy's energy is fucking frantic.
Yeah, I wouldn't say casual is anywhere in my sentence describing this man.
He's very frantic in his and isn't he? He's the one that's constantly like, I'm gonna fucking kill Hood. Isn't that what he's like screaming about a lot?
Josh, you talked about it at the Kachin Shamal. People have a resounding chill with people with portals opening up out of nowhere, someone speaking to them, and then portals just like sometimes just people appear and then they're gone, and everyone's pretty chill about it. You know,
I can't wait for like the one time in the book where we're just like Joe Schmo peasant, and it happens, and their whole life is just fucking shaken. Like, I don't know why I'm fucking firing, man. People just pop out portals, and we got soldiers of death. I want that chapter so badly.
All right, and so Apsalar's traveling, and she comes to the fossil tower we've seen once before, and she talks with Urko Crust, this kind of old guard soldier, about Cotillion, the dancer, you know, the two different ones, and Urko thinks dancer is trustworthy. Do you think Apsalar should trust Cotillion?
That's a really, really good question. I think, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm going to say yeah. I think Cotillion feels like kind of bad. And I think that I think it's going to be fine. I think Apsalar's going to be fine if she just, you know, just do what you got to do, and he'll let you go. I think he likes her. Does anyone agree?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I think I said this in the last episode too. It's not that he like likes her or it's like spending time with her or whatever. It's like ooh, I'm sorry I fucked your life up so hard.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely think he feels remorse.
Right. Yeah. But I think that remorse does yield some sort of like, I don't think he's trying to do her wrong in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's already done her wrong.
He's already done her so wrong. Right. Exactly. So I think he's just kind of like, here, you can do this, and then, you know, I'll let you go and you'll be good. And yeah, I don't have any reason to believe that he won't let her free.
He's already done her so wrong. So now he just needs her to run a few more errands.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the way I see it. Listen, he's not perfect, but he's no monster. Well, you could argue what he did was a little...
Yeah, it's kind of monstrous.
Listen, it's fine. I think he's trustworthy. I thought it was really funny, too, in that scene with those little ghost things.
Oh, my fucking God. That part is so good. When they take over the little Kachin Shamal little skeleton things. Fuck.
That was so
my God.
funny.
And they start walking around, and Urko's like, oh, that's how they stand. To keep their balance, they have to lean forward. That was so good. Oh, man. And then in the later chapters where they're just like, oh, the skeletal feet like jump up beside her. It's just so fucking good.
I'm obsessed. Good. I think oh God, it's so funny. It was very funny.
I love those two characters. I have nothing else to add. Josh, what's Tarlag Veed up to? What's his deal?
Who's that?
I didn't know in this chapter. First off, until chapter 6, maybe chapter 5, I don't know which, was still getting I was very confused because Dejim Nabal is also called something. He's a Trollagast or something.
Yeah,
some
the
fucking weird name.
Gabara or something.
Yeah, and they kept using them side by side, and I was like, is this one or two people? So it took me fucking forever to figure that one out. But
well, Josh, he's actually 7 dogs.
He's whatever. I mean, at this point I didn't know, but I mean, obviously now we know what he's doing. He's watching to make sure that the Nameless Ones, the Nameless Ones actually kills Ikari and Mappo Runt. So... Also, I do have a prediction about that. Well, we'll get to it next chapter.
We'll get to it next chapter. Josh leaving us on a cliffhanger here.
Yeah.
All right. So to return to my favorite group, put a little pin on it. AJ, Scillara speaks with Cutter here about what Cutter's doing there. and why Cutter's protecting them, about the gods. What is Scillara doing there, and why, like, I don't know, what do you think she's looking for out of traveling with them?
I mean, we don't know what Scilara's life was like before House of Chains, but she kind of talks about it with Felison, where it's like, you know, she was just in this fog of, you know, Durhang and stuff, and with Videthal and all that. And, you know, I don't know, or like we as the audience, I guess, don't know where she would go back to. And I think for her to be here and to like accept Haboric's, you know, blessing or whatever, and to decide to go on with him, I think just kind of speaks to like, she doesn't have much else besides herself. And I think she knows she has a better chance of surviving with, at least with Haboric, but also just like with a group of people, as opposed to just like going back to wherever she came from. Because like where the whirlwind like was, like Shaik's camp and stuff, is, you know, destroyed or whatever now. And to get back to any other semblance of civilization, you have to like cross the desert. And so I think her choice was like cross the desert alone to maybe get back to somewhere, wherever she came from, or cross the desert with, you know, these 4 people. So I think her choice is to like do it in a group and do it with the guy who has magic hands, because, hey, I don't know, maybe.
Also, Grey Frog definitely isn't talking to her because she's pregnant, right? Like, it's got to be some weird shit where Grey Frog's talking with the baby or something. I'm constant. That's like the one thing that I really has gripped me, is why Grey Frog won't talk with her. Anyone have any thoughts?
I mean, I guess that could be part of it. I really don't know. I haven't thought too hard about it.
Okay.
Well, when Grey Frog does that weird thing with Cutter later, where he's just like spitting weird facts, that was weird.
That part's so good.
I just feel like, why? Here's my question. He was doing that weird facts thing, but it wasn't like he was just like being funny and chatting. And I was just like, what's going on here? I was very confused. But I don't know why he doesn't communicate with Scillara. And I just feel like it has something to do with her specifically, but I just don't know what.
It's got to be the pregnancy. That's what I'm saying. Maybe he's afraid of babies.
Maybe he's afraid of babies. That could be a fun fact.
I know I am. You got a baby? Not talking to you. Too fragile.
I do just want to say we left a couple of big bits in the past after the Soldier of High House Death shows up. One, he leaves his spear when he leaves, which is just like there on the ground. They're like, oh, we'll just take his spear, I guess. And also he brings up that like Baruch and Mamet are like these ancient
so crazy
beings or whatever. Or at least that's how Cutter interprets it.
It's how I interpreted it.
Yeah. So that was just kind of wild. I just didn't want to leave that in the dust.
There was lots of Darujhistan talk there.
I miss Darujhistan.
Cutter does too. I think for me, the reason this section, and Josh, I just am stunned by what you said. I feel
blindsided.
Not only do I love the conversations between these characters, but mostly I feel much more invested in these characters than almost any of the others in the book. Do you mean Apsalar probably amongst them, you know? But easily more than anyone in the 14th Army, I care about these characters above them. So that's how strongly I feel, Joshua. So I was quite struck
I'm sorry.
Well, Josh, you had a different opinion than me. So how imagine
the nerve,
you know?
You know, there is no such thing as a right opinion. Well, in this case, this case.
Before we roll on to the next chapter, we just want a quick stop and thanks everyone who's backing us on Patreon. Just appreciate it so much. It helps keep the show going. Josh, why don't you thank these lovely people?
Yes.
Maybe. Give me 1 sec.
As soon as AJ gets it up.
Hey.
Yes.
Gets it up.
When did we record last? The 14th?
Idiot. Nice.
AJ, keep that in the show.
All right.
Thanks to these incredible human beings, we've officially got over 200 patrons on the Patreon, which is silly. So thank you to Sam, Matt, Ben, the Elder God Draconis, Mickey, and Ian.
Yeah,
I thought I read the Elder God Draconis last time. Like, I have a vivid memory of that.
Yeah, I think somebody else's name is also the Elder God Draconis. But we did get a very nice message from the Elder God Draconis, specifically saying like, and I make 200, and then like being very nice about the show, which is cool. Like it's a wild milestone. Thank you very much for the message. And thank you very much to anybody who sent us messages about, they're enjoying the show or just any of your thoughts, honestly. You can always send us a message on Patreon. It's usually me checking them, but I'll shoot stuff to Pete if it is what
I run the Twitter. Are we just talking about
I was just saying, like, if you send a message, it usually goes to me, but I
and if anyone has some Scrapple hot takes, I'm always here for your Scrapple hot takes, and the Discord was going wild about it.
Yeah, thank you so much for backing the show, thanks, it really means a bunch. So
Chapter 5.
Okay.
I got another sale on Etsy.
Hell yeah.
We're at 3 sales that were not from my friends.
You're all moving on up in the world.
Chapter 5. Invention is discussed between Samar Dev and Karsa. Samar Dev investigates the keep and the corpse of the short-tail that had seemed to kill all the Malazans. Samar dissects the beasts, finding mechanisms within. After she tells Karsa of an island called Sepik, split into 2 populations. They agree to travel there together. Samar sees spirits being drawn to Karsa. Quick Ben speaks about what happened on Genabakis, the ghost of Raraku, and the Perrons. The burned tears interrupt them and bring them to the adjunct. Tavor asks what they found in the Imperial Warren. 10 to 12 Kachin Chamal sky keeps travel through the Warren. Quick Ben thinks the Imperial Warren could be the old Kachin Chamal Warren. Tavor orders them to infiltrate and find out what's going on. Quick Ben and Kalam reluctantly agree. The Scorpion, Joyful Union, is killed by the new captain, Farad'n Sort. Bottle disrespectfully salutes her in response and tells the captain his name is Smiles. Captain Farad'n Sort speaks with Fiddler. She dispenses orders to them, including Smiles, to have a double load. Fist Keneb speaks with Grub and then leaves. The Fist worries about Tavor, missing Quick Ben, and growing dread amongst the soldiers. Hellion wakes up, now on her 8th day at her new post in the 14th. Bottle speaks with Maybe and Lutz about Joyful Union's death. Then Bottle speaks with his squad about Farad'n Sort. Korik suspects she's hiding her background and that she actually comes from a powerful post on Stormwall. They're going to hold off on killing her. Quick Ben plans to infiltrate one of the sky keeps with only Quick, Kalam, and Stormy. Dejim Nebral has neared its prey and now lies in wait. He foresees a new empire that he will lead. Apsalar speaks with Tellerist and Curdle about time and the great forest that once covered this land. Apsalar calls upon her Warren and enters these shadowy forests, seeing destruction from where dragons once fought. She sees a ship sailing. She wades into the forest and finds an anchor and rope covered in shadow. She climbs up the rope, up aboard a ship, where she finds Ganos Perrin. They start to talk about gods and knowing your enemies. They will catch up more as the boat sails together, now on ocean water. Samar and Karsa leave together, continuing their conversation when Karsa speaks of an army waiting at home for him. As they near cliffs, Hoborik declares that there is a war to bury all the elder gods. Scillara thinks Hoborik has gone mad and admits to Cutter she is pregnant. India. Samar Dev continues to travel along Karsa throughout this chapter, first to the Skeep, and then later they keep talking again. Compared to his old traveling companion in Leomin, what do you make of this change in dynamic with Samar Dev, and what do you make of her now that we're seeing more of her?
I think that I like the difference in relationship. I think that she's a little bit more challenging and opinionated. I don't know. I just think that they're not as like they're not palling around, they are. But I just feel like it's more like, this is a weird thing. Instead of like a friend thing, it gives me more of like sibling vibes, sibling rivalry vibes. Which I think is interesting. I enjoy it. I think it's very funny, actually, because I like the kind of bickering between them. And I don't know, Samar Dev is a little bit more like, they're different in that I feel Samar Dev is more, I guess, looking for, like, more interested in the information of things and trying to figure things out, which I think is different from Karsa, who's just kind of like, yeah, let's go. We're going to go now. And that's what we're going to do. We're not going to talk about, we're going to be about it. But Samar Dev is more like, well, let's like look through this and like, let's kind of dissect this and see what it is and then figure things out about it. So I kind of like that dynamic. It adds a little bit more texture and layers to the story.
AJ, what do you make of the contrast of these people? Andy, I think you're nailed it 100%. I think I agree with what you said. I love Samar Dev. What do you think?
Yeah, I think getting these scenes from Samar Dev's POV is really good at kind of, I don't know, it has me thinking about Karsa. Has me thinking about Karsa, period. It's not just like, oh, I'm with Karsa, I know Karsa's deal. Like seeing him through Samar Dev's eyes and like some of the stuff that he does that she notices, I don't have a specific example, please don't ask me, is pretty interesting. And I think the Karsa's interaction with her is cool too, because we haven't really seen Karsa not be like duty bound or something. Like right now he's just kind of chilling. Like he doesn't have this like big goal of like, bringing forth the apocalypse or like figuring out his past and getting the big cool sword or anything, or finding the giant horse. Like he has done all of that stuff. And now he's kind of in like, he's in the hub town between quests. You know what I mean? And so he's just kind of like chilling and meeting this new character, meeting Samar Dev. So I think it's pretty cash. It's pretty cool. And I like it.
Josh has just picked up a kitty cat and brought the cat to the recording.
She was meowing at the door very loudly.
I did hear a meow.
Yeah, she's in my lap now. She's happy.
I have a houseplant.
Ooh.
I have to be honest. Karsa is a character that really gets under my skin, and these scenes really were bothering me.
Why?
And I love Samar Dev. She's like the thing that makes these scenes tolerable, but I really... A little bit of Karsa goes a long way, and these chapters, he just keeps being there and he keeps saying stuff, and I just can't handle it. I can't handle it. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm clearly holding in. I'm holding within this rant,
Why not let it out?
I just personally feel like so much of what Karsa says is so stupid.
Yes.
I find it to be so incredibly dumb. And then often someone will be like, man, what an interesting point, Karsa. And I just could not disagree more, and I just cannot get over it. And I cannot get over his point of view that, like, hey, we should just kill everyone. Civilization, bad take. Let's end it. It is just, I just cannot get over this,
I think it's better if you find the humor in how ridiculous what he says is, because I think that these scenes are hysterical of just like Samar Dev, incredibly smart inventor, grappling with these existential questions of, everything. And then Karsa's just like, I'm going there because it's what I will do. And no questions, and it's such a fun juxtaposition of the two. And I'm with you, Pete. I think most of what Karsa says, I'm like, that's fucking dumb. But, confidence gets you 80% of the way there. So...
Josh, I get what you're saying, that like there's an element of him that I do like. I don't think the book is like agreeing with everything he says. I don't think that's like obviously. Yeah. But I just feel like sometimes the book tacitly endorses him and his point of view by making him just so often like, oh, he just said he was going to do the thing and he did the thing. It's
yeah, I know what you mean.
You just need to be really confident and like, I don't know. It just, anyway, I just could really go on and on about it, but it
grinds your gears.
Obviously, just, we all have characters we like. This is not my favorite character. It is known. I've articulated it before on the show. I was just feeling salty today.
That's fair, buddy.
So, AJ, ask a question. I can't.
No, I've got it.
Okay.
I really want to talk about the beauty of simplicity. Sometimes Steve be doing a lot.
Yeah.
He does the most a lot of the time. But I really love when he decides, no, I'm going to make you have the strongest feelings in under 2 sentences. And that is exactly what happens when this fucking captain comes in and squashes Joyful Union. But I felt Bottle just die inside. And we know that Bottle has some shit inside of him that you probably, if it bubbles over, he could probably do a lot of damage. And I just loved the thought of man, imagine this captain comes up and is just all right, time to swing to, really get my, let him know I'm here. And he squash the score. And I would love if Bottle had just been and melted her. It would have made my life. But I just thought it was such a good, and it's I just love that it's a scorpion and it reverberates. The next scene is these other guys, they're we've got this new scorpion. And Bottle's it's over. They've killed Joyful Union. Oh, it's all worthless now. It's so funny. Yeah, every bit of it is incredible.
There's a lot of these scenes with the 14th that really just gets me so just I want to stop reading it because it's too much. But the recurring scorpion bit that happens throughout is really, really good. Because every time it comes up, it's we have to kill the new captain now. So
yeah. They're actively plotting to murder her over this scorpion. It's so funny.
And honestly,
that was uncool.
I could see them murdering her, which really kind of sucks, honestly. I don't know, because honestly, she feels like a good direction for the 14th. They need some discipline, We're gonna see. We haven't actually got to see this meeting yet. It's been set up, but we haven't. We know it's gonna be said, but it hasn't actually happened. I'm excited though. Yeah. I'm excited to know that there's a wall in this, just a very, very different from Game of Thrones, but there's a wall here too with stoic defenders. I'm pretty hype. I think all media needs a wall. Full Metal Alchemist has a big wall in the snow, and those characters are some of the best characters, and they're there for only a moment. Pete, any wall thoughts?
I literally just read Stonewielder, a book about this wall.
Really? I didn't know that. That's cool. I assumed Stonewielder was a Karsa thing because he has a big flint sword. I
said it was stupid, which I regret saying, but
are we back on Karsa?
Yeah, what are we on, dude?
I gotta move on. I can't do it.
Well, we had moved on.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. I was trying to put a pin in it.
You got big feelings. Let him out.
We put a pin in it
I just think it's a juxtaposition between I find him so unbearable and his confidence and the tone of him is I'm actually the greatest person ever.
Sure.
And I feel so strongly the opposite of this,
Sure.
So it only further gets on my nerves. But
Pete, isn't that the purpose? Don't you think Steve wrote him this way to elicit this exact response?
I do think I don't think you're entirely wrong about that. I don't think the book is saying Karsa's the greatest person ever or anything. I think the book indicts Karsa in many ways, I think it presents him as a complicated character. However, anyway, we got to keep moving on because I got so many thoughts about this character and this is not what the episode's about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I got so distracted in my emotions.
Sometimes we get distracted in our emotions.
I've never
Did
felt
we
that
talk
way in my
about
life.
Feridan Sort? What's your impression of her?
We did. Don't worry.
We did.
We were past it,
Yeah, she crushed the scorpions.
Next question.
We speaking of the meeting that's inevitable, we get a meeting between Tavor and Quick Ben Kalam and Gessler, where she just basically tells them hey, fuck off to the Warrens and figure out what's going on with these moon spawns.
I mean, pretty rightfully so. They're we saw boop, boop, boop. Hey, we saw a bunch of sky keeps. And she's well, tell me more. You should go back in. All right, I guess so.
Yeah, that scene that was a lot.
Hey,
What is a sky keep?
That's what Moonspawn was.
I like how they call them moon spawns sometimes.
That's very funny to me that they keep calling them Moonspawns.
So Moonspawn and sky keep can be used interchangeably, except Moonspawn is a place.
Moonspawn is a proper noun, but a skykeep is a type of.
It's like calling a tissue a Kleenex.
Yeah.
Got it.
Or a bandage adhesive, a band-aid.
Or a Q-tip.
Exactly. Yeah. A cotton swab.
A bandage or Band-Aid.
Pete, you said a lot of information was presented in that scene, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Which one?
In the scene
before we moved on, I got to be honest, I completely zoned out. I assumed you talked about everything in the 14th. Checked all the boxes.
We didn't talk much about what you were just leading us into, the Quick Ben and Tavor meetings. We didn't really get on that.
Yeah.
Shout out Hellion Hellion's here, back from the prologue.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of inevitable she is going to show up, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's true that it's inevitable. But
well, I read the books before AJ.
Okay. Because I could very much see that just being a thing that was left in the prologue.
Yeah, this fucking worm of autumn or whatever is popping up is all over the place, which is annoying because we haven't heard of them at all before, and then suddenly it's the most important fucking cult or sect or whatever.
Drek.
Nope.
Drek. I don't know how you hit the D, but Drek. Anyway, so Apsalar is in the Shadow Realm. She's wading through these forests. She climbs aboard this boat. What's that? Ba-boom. Ganos Perrin returns to the story. AJ, how'd you feel?
It was great. It was awesome. I didn't realize that Quick Ben thought that he had died. That kind of threw me off.
No, I think Quick Ben was lying to them in that scene.
Okay, it was a ruse. Okay,
yeah,
I really
Quick Ben knows
I wasn't
he's
sure.
not dead.
Okay, good. No, it was great. I love Perrin. I now have a deeper love for Perrin after having read Gardens of the Moon now. This great boy, great character. He does say, I actually don't know if it's here or if it was in the next scene we get with them, that it's been 7 months. He said he was living with Raced for 7 months, and now he's on this boat. That felt like a long time. 7 months feels like it's been a while.
They've had the whole march across the desert.
I think at the start of this book, they say it's been 4 months since the end of House of Chains.
Yeah.
A lot has happened.
A lot has happened.
Can I just say, Perrin is really giving off I did study abroad in Europe vibes to me.
Huge vibes.
He's over here cheers whenever he leaves something. That's Pete has gotten up from the computer.
The single funniest thing you've ever said on the show.
That is literally, there is nothing better. That is the truest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's coming up with you. It's in my times in Barcelona.
Yes.
He is hugely giving off that energy.
Oh my god.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad Perrin's back, and I'm loving the educated vibes he's bringing.
He really is, though. He is a different character. No more tummy aches, no more headaches.
He was being ripped alive by otherworldly power.
This dog. My feelings.
Can't, literally can't stop. It's just night and day. A lot can happen in 7 months.
True.
I have a distinct memory of when I read this book for the first time. She climbs aboard this ship and finds Perrin. I practically pump my fist. It's been 3 books since you've seen the kid.
Right.
And it's damn, fucking the kid. He's I don't know, the start of the book. And when I picked up Gardens of the Moon, I was he's the main character.
Literally.
No, I was mistaken. But it's, I don't know, it's a big emergence back onto the scene. Josh, what did you make of the conversation they had on the boat?
I loved it. I loved guys, there was some sexual tension, right? It's not just me, please.
I always thought
I felt there was such a spark between them, and I was what the fuck? It was very weird to me because I Apsalar clearly likes Crocus still, Cutter, whatever.
She doesn't like Cutter. She feels bad for him.
No, she was crying in the first chapter about how much she missed him and wanted to be with him.
She doesn't. It's Perrin. I always knew it was.
I forgot that was your book one pick was those two. Incredible. I love the conversation. I thought it was like, well, I don't know. She did kill him. I always forget that. You know, she did do a murder.
She's a heartbreaker.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it's such an interesting conversation. But when you like step back and think about this conversation in terms of like what the characters have been through and like their weird relationship with each other, I was honestly shocked by how like familiar it felt, like their tone with each other. Because it's like they really don't know each other. She murdered him, and then he came back from the dead, and then they've almost had no interaction since.
Right. Yeah. He hasn't known her as not possessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those weird scenes where we, the audience, have such a different relationship than the characters in the book. Because obviously we, like, these are two of the main leads of the series, and we, like, have a lot of affection and we know so much about them. But they have a different relationship to each other, and they don't know a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's all this stuff. So, like, it's once again, it's like, I think, kind of why they spend time off screen catching up.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting that there's that distance between the reader and the characters. AJ, looks like you're trying to...
Yeah, I think it's interesting having Perrin like fully be master of the deck now. Because you're talking about the disconnect we're talking about the disconnect between like he only knew her as Sorry when she killed him, and then a little bit afterwards. But like also now he just kind of knows everything. Is my impression.
He knows his
like,
enemies.
It's like he's read the 10 books. You know, he knows all the stuff that's in play. He knows what everyone's been up to. And I think on her end, on Absalar's end, like, she has all of Cotillian's memories and stuff, and some access to that Cotillian knowledge. So I think honestly they know each other better than like they normally would. You know.
India, what do you think this means? And are you for Perrin to enter the story? And are you excited that Ganos is in the book now?
I am excited. So I think it's going to add a level of more things that I don't understand, i.e. deck of dragons or whatever. So, master of the deck, whatever he is. So I feel like that has to obviously come into play at some point, which I'm not super excited about because, again, it's just like another thing. It's like, what the fuck? So I'm sure he's going to, I don't know. I do think that he will have hopefully a really big part in this book because I did miss the character, except for like I missed the character that we met. I didn't necessarily love him when he was going through that time.
Oh, when he was having that time.
When he was just not a good time.
Oh, he was oh man. Listen to you.
I know. I was just not about it. It was just annoying. Just like shut up.
Christ.
It's just how I felt. I don't like the lamenting. Such an overdone thing, you know. We get it. You're sad. We're all sad. Anyway, I digress. So I'm intrigued. I'm excited to see what he does. I have no fucking concept. No idea. This is a whole new Perrin, like literally a whole new character. So I don't know what to expect. I'm intrigued to see if there's like if him and Absalar do kind of stay together, if you know what I mean.
What do you mean?
Just travel together, I suppose. Do some shit.
I don't think they're gonna end up together because they're both from such like high perspectives. Like they're outside of the like.
They're evolved. They'd be too powerful as a power couple.
Truly.
You can't have two alphas. So. But do you think that Perrin really didn't fuck with Absalar's Cotillion?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Cotillion killed him.
Right.
Yeah, technically it was Cotillion in Sorry's body.
So I do question what might happen in the grander scheme, you know, in that way. Is there beef? Are they beefing, Cotillion and Perrin?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why did Cotillion kill Perrin? Never thought about that. I guess maybe because it was Adjunct Lorne's like aid.
Yeah, he was. That's exactly what it was. Yeah,
it was. So he was just collateral
he was the link to
damage.
the Empire and all that stuff. Yeah. It wasn't because he was Perrin. It was because of his role, not because of who he was.
If you think about it, that one act set off Perrin becoming the fucking master of the deck, pretty much.
It's almost as if it was all foretold.
Ooh. Ooh.
Speaking of which, it's been it's like a 2-year anniversary of our show nowadays.
Oh my goodness.
I guess, speaking of which, what do you mean?
Well, all I was going to say is that it seems like it's been forever since we read those scenes in Gardens of the Moon. And I was like, well, it's been like 2 years. That's how long the show's been.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good button.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be,
over.
it'd be a good button if we didn't have a chapter 6 to discuss. So let's shimmy on, shake down the way and kick it into...
Before we go, can I say one thing? Because we did glaze a lot of the 14th stuff. Can I make one comment?
Please.
Okay.
I was honestly so stressed. I was so...
Yeah.
Go.
I talked a lot in the last book and with Steve actually about like how much I like the idea of like you have to be prepared for the enemy to enemy's magic, so you bring your magic to counteract it. And we are seeing such an example of it because fucking Leomin's army is so like we've got to watch out for Quick Ben. And Quick Ben's just gone, and that's the funniest shit to me that they are doing. And also, their army's like, we don't have a high mage. They're going to have a high mage. And I am 99% certain Leomin does not have a mage. And so they're both going to be like prepared for magic genocide. And then it's just going to be human beings. And I love it. I love this dance they are always doing. That's my speech. Thank you.
Chapter 6. Korab watches Leomin take over the city of Yucatan. Korab is skeptical and worried about Dunsparrow. We learn of the city's history, the old goddess of olives, and eventually Leomin reveals his plan to speak directly to the Queen of Dreams. Mappo and Akarium speak together about dragons and the war on gods. They talk about who could have killed this dragon Sorit, and Akarium suspects it was the Eater. Akarium starts to think he is cursed and that Mappo is protecting the world from him. They set off to the Jagodan to find a Jaga. Kenna rides past the barrows of Yucatan, reflecting on the city's dark history with Malzahn forces. The city itself has been evacuated, and unfinished trenches surround Yucatan. He thinks Leomin wants to martyr himself. Bottle delivers a message to all the sergeants. Captain Faraday Sort wants to meet with them. He returns to his squad, and Gessler and the others have come back from the Imperial Warren. They speak about the plan to siege Yucatan, and Bottle thinks more on his family. Later, he feels lost, and on a hilltop, the Aerosol finds him. The ancient woman seems to be following the army through the echoes of time and indicates her pregnancy. Bottle sees the father as a Tist Eater, and the child may be a future ruler of a healed realm of shadow. Bottle thinks the Aerosol demands him to be her god, and he agrees. Adjunct Tavor meets with her fists, Keneb, Blistig, and Tene Beralta. After discussing Timul's suggestions and strategy, Blistig and Beralta are dismissed. Tavor tells Keneb that Dujak's host has been broken, and the High Fist himself is a shadow of what he once was. Keneb leaves upset and goes to find Fiddler, who when asked confirms all that the adjunct has told him. Perrin lands in Kansu. Absalar and he talk about the bridge burners, Krull, and if the elder gods oppose the crippled god. The city is quiet, and Perrin explains a plague has come to 7 cities, and that the healers at the Temple of Drek have been killed. Finally, they separate and go their own ways. Samar and Karsa speak of progress together, debating civilization and savagery. Kalam speaks on the Skykeep. Quickben's magic power has been sapped. Kalam calls Cotillion to them, who helps them to a fissure where Quickben and Stormy are. Stormy is unconscious but healed by Cotillion. Cotillion reveals they are in a temple to an elder god. He looks knowingly at Quickben, then Cotillion leaves. Grey Frog tells Cutter something bad is coming, and they begin to move. On the edge of a cliff, Mappo and Akarium are ambushed. Dejim Nabral attacks, and Mappo plummets off the cliff. AJ, we haven't touched on it thus far. Yigatan and Korab.
Yes.
So and earlier in chapter 4, we saw them come to Yigatan. The Falad was killed, and Leomin took control of the city. Dunsparrow was named as the third. And in this chapter, we see Leomin really take control of the city. We read about these killings, and we learn much more about the history of the city, the history of these temples, of the battle that once happened and the echoes there.
Yeah.
And then eventually we learn more about Leomin's plan to speak to the Queen of Dreams. At the end of chapter 4, Korab has misgivings, he thinks, you know, and clearly that only grows as he sees this preparation for the siege, and he thinks on Dunsparrow and wonders what Leomin's doing. What do you think about these misgivings, and are you feeling the same feelings?
I love these misgivings. I think he has a right to be confused, skeptical, but also it comes off like he is so jealous. Like he has a crush on Leomin.
So jealous.
He has a crush on Leomin, and Dunsparrow is coming in between that, and she is not welcome. And it's really, really good. That I was like cracking up that entire section. Honestly, just Korab is quickly climbing the scales of being one of my favorite characters. Between the last episode we were talking about him eating the fish roe and stuff, and this episode where he's talking about it being so hot that the hallucinations of grandma's wanting to pinch his cheeks. It's so I could eat it all day. I could eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I think he has earned some of these misgivings, I think. I mean, he's seen so much go wrong following Leomin, and somehow doesn't see that Leomin is the common denominator. He's not just like, no, it's the other people. Leomin's right, but that's blind loyalty, I guess. But I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting. And I think the Yigatan stuff of all the temples being destroyed, except the Queen of Dreams one, how it, all the Malazan blood that has been shed. I think that's really interesting thinking about it now. In one of these chapters, somebody says something about like blood magic or something, and Quick Ben says, the best kind, which makes me think something real fucked up is going to happen because Yigatan has all of this blood in the sand. But we'll see about that, I guess.
India, do you have misgivings about Leomin? And what did you think of the scene where he kind of kills the Falad and takes control of this city? And, he's the Falad now.
Leomin is having a life crisis, I think. He is confused. He doesn't even know his place. He's out here just saying, well, it is me, but you're a liar. I don't believe it is. And the fact that he just randomly killed that did anyone see that coming when it happened? Or I was like, what the frick? What is going on here? You can't just do that. This person was laughing, and then you just, what? Anyway, pissed off.
He shouldn't have made fun of Leomin of the flails, I guess.
Clearly. And now you know. If you don't know, now you know.
I think it's pretty reasonable, right? Like the army of the apocalypse has fallen apart, and they're like, okay, you take the Book of Dryjna and you get out of here with like a couple hundred guys. You're in charge now. Mm-hmm. Like, of course, he's out here feeling like, well, what do you mean, bro? Like.
For a second, I thought you were saying that decapitation was reasonable, and I was like, that's a horrible thing. Of all the takes we've had on this show, I think that might be the wildest one.
That is not true, but I just mean in general, I think Leomin I agree. I think Leomin is feeling, having a bit of a crisis. Mm-hmm. Josh, we didn't really talk about it, but within the Change Kamal Skykeep, they come across this dragon that's crucified. And we've met a few more dragons in this book, and this is not the first crucified one we've seen in the series. Do you like learning more about them?
No.
Okay. Why?
It's okay. I guess my issue is I feel like the dragons are so disconnected from it. To me, they feel disconnected from the actual on the ground story we have, that they are a little bit too heady for me. I'm sure on a reread the dragons have lots of cool things about them that I would get, but right now they're just pieces to a puzzle. and Steve still hasn't handed me the box to show me what the puzzle looks like. And so that's kind of how I feel about them most of the time. They're cool. Dragons are sick, man. There's a reason they're in all fantasy, but until I know more, they kind of are just sort of. I'm sort of like, I'll care about you when I understand you.
Something I learned about myself in Gardens of the Moon when Anna Mandrake turns into a dragon in the finale of that book is I just love dragons. And when one shows up in a book, the book gets better. That's a mathematic fact, more dragons, better book, that's just science, baby, Yeah. So I love seeing this dragon and, it's metal.
I think it's interesting that we've seen one crucified and one just like on a pike, right? This one was just kind of on a spike. And the POVs that we see these dead dragons from are like Trull and Unrak, who are like two ancient people or whatever, and then also Mappu and Akarium, who are even more ancient. So both times it's just kind of like, dead dragon.
Yes.
And like that's all we get out of it. And it's just like, okay, well, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I do think to almost loop back to what Josh was saying at the beginning of the episode, it's kind of a writing jam. I mean, like, did you really want to read the people be like, whoa, this is crazy?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure. I'm just saying it was interesting.
I don't know. So Akarium here is speaking more about himself and like thinking about like who is protecting who and what is my relationship to Mappo. What do you think it would really mean if he comes to terms with who he is,
As someone who hasn't yet finished Deadhouse Gates, I don't know.
We're recording that episode in like a few hours.
In 12 hours, I will have finished Deadhouse Gates.
I'll go to sleep and wake up to a finished Deadhouse Gates.
Yeah. Maybe. Oh, there's a cat on the camera now.
India's become a cat.
Wow. Beautiful baby. Hi. But I think it can't be good, right? I just don't know, because it seems like all this adventuring that Akarium did over these 100,000 years or whatever has been like, it seems like it was him walking across the world, making these timepieces and laying down prophecies. And I just think it's so, I don't know, for whatever set him off initially, like the first time that he needed to be, memory wiped or whatever. I just think it's so wild that it outweighs the like tens of thousands of years of him walking around like just being a dude in the world.
Yeah, I'm curious what it was.
Because it can't just be like, oh, well, he wiped out like one. I don't know. I mean, it's a big thing.
He
wiped out one civilization,
genocide.
But like one civilization in the context of like how big this dude's life has been doesn't seem worthy of like mind wiping him. I just don't know. I just really don't know. And also, why isn't he just killed? Is also another thing, which makes me think maybe he can't be killed, and maybe I just don't know, man. I just don't know.
So India, on the doorstep of Yucatan, we catch up with the 14th. Like last chapter, we're touching on with various people in it, and this time we catch up with the Fisk Kenab, who thinks Leoman wants to martyr himself. He speaks with Tavor. Bottle is there. He has this encounter with Aerosol. We hear that Duzek and his host are not to be relied on. Which of these storylines really stood out to you from the 14th?
I more so come with a question of why with Tavor, because I just feel like there's not much going on about, like, I don't really know much about my girl Tavor. And my question is, what happened? I wasn't fully understanding when she, like, why she no longer trusts. Who does she no longer trust? The guy, the people who she made have the new leader.
Duzek One Arm.
Yeah.
So why? What happened? Does anybody know? Like, why does she no longer trust them?
I actually think it's not that. She, like, has that scene later where she reveals that it's more like she's kind of assuming a lot of, like, responsibility and kind of anger from her soldiers because they don't have a backup. That's what that whole scene was about. So I really think whenever, at this point, after book 4, I think basically you can assume that whatever the soldiers think about Tavor is probably wrong and is probably exactly what she wants them to think about her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Is what it seems like. I could be very wrong. We don't get much one-on-one time with Tavor.
Right.
I think you're right, Josh, because there is like a line where she says something to the effect of like, I'm willing to sacrifice the respect of my army for like a successful victory or something, which is
something
like
that.
a wild prospect, but I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty. I don't really. Yeah, that's my thoughts on mostly that. I hate those parts of the book. I am so disinterested by any of the 14th and any of anything that has to do with that. So I didn't like any of it. It's boring to me. I don't enjoy reading it. I don't understand it. I don't know where they're going with it. And that's how I feel about that.
This is the main difference, I think, between me and India, is that she loves the Scillara Crocus crew, and I love the fucking 14th with a passion.
Yeah, definitely.
Josh, I thought you were going to say that, so.
Yeah. Well, I love all of them. I love the scene where they're like dismantling a cart and they've bound and gagged the cart drivers just kind of because they're like, we're tired of eating dust. And it's like, but you're here. You made it. I don't get why you're mad now. It's so goofy.
I think they might have murdered those people.
No, they were bound and gagged.
Bound, gagged, and motionless, it said. It explicitly said motionless.
Well, they wouldn't be motionful if they're bound.
So true. Depends on how they were bound.
That's so deep, Josh.
And if you do a murder, you don't bind them afterwards, unless they can come back as a zombie.
Bind them before and then kick the crap out of them because you're mad about eating their dust. If they're as unstable as they seem, that seems pretty reasonable of the things they would do.
I like to assume my good soldier buddies aren't doing casual murders to their other soldiers. But listen,
why are these your good? Josh, why are these good buddies? We don't know anything about these people.
Because I think Steve does such a good job of characterizing them with such little amount of work, and if you asked me to tell you any of those traits, I couldn't right now. And I get that. I get that probably sounds bad. But I like that as I'm reading a scene, I get such a vivid image of what is going on in all of these individual soldiers and their like mentalities and stuff. And I love it. I think it's I think it's very well done.
You almost don't need to know. Like
exactly. AJ, what do you want? A once thief from the streets of Darujistan who we've now followed through multiple books across continents, through all these different paths in his life, or some soldiers being rude and salty to each other.
Widdershins who speaks with a silly voice.
Well, you know, it's just a tough choice for me on these two characters here. Anyway, setting aside my good nature ribbing, Josh, what stood out to you here? Was it Keneb? Was it this talk of Dujek? Was it this strange scene with Bottle?
I think it's, well, first off, anytime Bottle's in, I'm so ready. I love it.
Love Bottle.
Bottle's great. Bottle's the new, whatever that character was in the third book that was also highly magical and just was kind of doing their own thing.
Quick Ben?
No, not Quick Ben. The other, like the squad mage that was like way more powerful than he ever let on with the eyelash shirt.
Yeah, the hair shirt.
The hair shirt. Anyway, I actually think what I like is how the book portrays this army's leadership as completely different from the army we saw in Memories of Ice, which I still stand by as saying that Memories of Ice is like essentially a perfect fantasy book because of like it, and that's before Steve starts doing his weird shit. And I think that this is just taking that army style of like leaders conversing, working with each other. Yes, they have their own schemes, but they're keeping everyone filled in. And then this is the exact opposite, where there is one single leader. She is giving the orders. She does not give a shit what you think, and that is how it's going to be. And I think it's very interesting to me to like see how that affects the everyman. Because like in Memories of Ice, their concern was cannibal army, not fun, and things like that. And this army's concern is, I'm going to murder the man next to me because I hate, like the tension is so pervasive. And I think it comes from this style of leading. And I really like how it's such a, you know, the trickle down effect is just the top guys are mad at each other. The bottom guys, like AJ is saying, might be murdering one another at night. And it's just interesting to see how this whole army is interacting with each other. I like it.
No, I think it's almost like a different setting itself. The differences between the different armies and the moods established within them.
Yeah. And I think it's cool because we've seen that like Dujek's army is broken. They did all those things well, and it felt like they did all the things right, and they still ended up with a completely crushed soul. So I'm curious to see if Tavor's exact opposite style ends up working better.
How'd you feel about that? This kind of talk about Dujak.
Sad. I was so sad. I get it. You can't have Whiskey Jack murdered in front of an entire army, and not be broken.
That sucked. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then the guy gets away by just fucking teleporting away.
That fucking, ugh.
After being the shadiest motherfucker to ever exist in a book for months.
I like how in one line in this chapter, they were like, we probably should have seen that one coming. Quickman says.
Yeah. It's like, no fucking shit. Of course you should have seen that one coming. He was awful the whole time.
Yeah, I actually think it was a few chapters ago. But Aj, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the bottle scene with Aerosol before we moved on. Mm-hmm. We saw Aerosol before when she assaults Troll in book 4, and now here we are. It's such a weird, trippy scene. But what did you make of this scene altogether?
I thought it was bonkers. I mean, like Josh said, any scene with Bottle doing stuff is like wild. It's just
who's this voice that's not his grandmother talking to him?
Yeah,
What's
That was the best little breadcrumb. It's like, oh yeah, when I hear my grandmother's voice, if that's who it is. Really good, really good. I don't know, and I was so. I mean, sorry, Pete. This is going to be just you explaining to me this scene, but like, what was Bottle seeing? Like, what realm or what Warren or whatever was that?
It was like time, bro.
Okay,
like,
it was just like
when are we? Where are we, bro?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
We're beyond the 2 dimensions, bro. You're thinking about time linearly, man.
Yeah, there was something in here that really concreted to me that like time is a flat circle and we're just all living in it all moments at the same time. I don't remember where it was. Oh, it's a bottle. That's what it is. Okay, yeah. Hold on. I want to read that quote because to me that was like full confirmation that like we are really fucking with time here.
Mm-hmm.
Steve must have some interesting thoughts.
We should ask him next time.
Steve, what are your thoughts?
What is an interesting thought from you, sir?
Tell me about time.
Just give me a stream of consciousness, Steve.
Did you find the quote?
I did find the quote. So he says earlier in on that same page is like, oh, she's not real. She's a manifestation, or maybe I'm the manifestation. So, we're already in some pretty heady territory. But then, he's seeing this weird place he's in, and he says it's as if all is present, as if every moment coexists. And here we are face to face, both too ignorant to partition our faith, our way of seeing the world. And so we see them all at once. And if we're not careful, it will drive us mad, which really is like, to me, saying that, the crippled god lives out of time and is kind of mad. And that time doesn't really exist. And it's, everything's it's up to your perspective, and your perception. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty good part of that scene for me. So
Hinge at the end, we return to Apsalar and Perrin, and they learn about a plague on 7 cities, and they speak more about elder gods, and then eventually they travel their own separate ways. Would you have rather them traveled together?
So I don't know if it would have. I don't know. I mean, would I prefer it? Yes, but that's just from like an end wanting something, forcing something, creating something in my head that is not a thing.
Shipping.
It doesn't make sense. I don't know what Apsalar is very, I feel like focused on what she needs to do, for Cotillion. And she's very, she wants to be done with that shit. So I think that it doesn't make sense for them to travel together, although I would have thoroughly enjoyed more conversations between them.
There's a lot of conversation about elder gods. In the OG make all that. Are they around? Are they helping? Are they,
I think that the elder gods situation, it's just one of those things that I just still don't understand. I think that they're really powerful, but also, I don't know, like the Krull one, like it just makes no sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I just don't understand what they do, really.
Well, India Magic is his blood and Warren's are his veins, so
right.
You see, Warren's are simple to understand.
When you put it like that, it's just so clear.
I thought there were only 3 elder gods after book 3. I thought that's what they said. It was just Krull, Draconis, and the other one. And I apparently really misunderstood something in that book. Because now they're like, nah, there's elder god of dogs? Fuck yeah, right here. Elder dog of fucking coffee? Mm-hmm. There's just so many of them.
Yes, you were sorely mistaken, sir.
I was very, very wrong.
This episode's a little loopy up anyway. Well, maybe it's just because it's getting late and I'm losing my faculties.
That's what it is. Yeah. Let's keep moving so we can get you to bed.
So the final, before we get to the book's exciting cliffhanger, let's get to, Kalam and them are infiltrating the Sky Keep. They go in, they're like, let's just take Stormy, and then they Gessler and them go back to the camp, and then they get up on there. The cotillion shows up. There's, he heals them. They talk about Quickben a bit. Josh, what you make of this whole Sky Keep venture within the Imperial Warren?
I was honestly very concerned. I thought Kalam was just gonna fall off. I did love Cotillion just being a fucking goober. I like it's so. Him from book 1 to now is so different. Like he is just loving messing with mortals, and it's very fun to me. Also, I feel like every other book, I feel like now I figured out Quickben, and then the next book is just like, oh, more surprises. So, because like we found out 2 books ago the whole like, oh, he's got 12 warrens because he absorbed the souls of 12 fucking wizards or whatever, and now Cotillion's also just kind of like, oh, and Quickben's just giving him the look right back, and I'm so curious what it all is about. If they're working together, if there's more to Quickben than meets the eye, Transformers. I don't know. So I think it's fun, though.
I like how in Guardians of the Moon, they're like, let's travel by the Imperial Warren. This is our Malazan Warren. And then cut to, it's like, they were just like, I don't know. I guess this one's ours. Dibs. You know?
We found it first. It's very... So, I can't remember, because books. Have we figured out what the Imperial Warren is? Is it part of the Shadow Warren? Is that what makes it so easy for them to kind of travel through? Like, do we know yet?
We've learned several different things about the Imperial Warren.
Yeah, it's ancient. There's fucking bones of civilizations in it. But like concrete, Pete.
Bones
Anything?
of Calor's empire. Now these changed small sky keeps are here.
Maybe it's the future. Maybe they're traveling through the apocalyptic future.
Bum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum, bum. I'm just trying to get as much copyrighted music in this episode as possible.
That's good.
Aj, it's the ending. Dishim Brawl finally strikes.
Can I raise my hand? Can I make a quick thing? I alluded to it like an hour ago.
I didn't even... Yeah.
Sorry, then I'll let you do it.
It's no.
Samar and Karsa are definitely there too, right? They're definitely gonna jump in next chapter and save fucking Akarium and Mappo for sure.
You think?
Yeah, because they stopped by a canyon and they were like, "There's something here," and I assumed that meant that the beast was there to kill Karsa, and then we found out it's there to kill Akarium and Mappo. But Samar and Karsa are definitely right there. My Josh hot take.
I don't know.
And what did you think of this cliffhanger?
I like that hot take. If that is the case, I'm gonna freak out because
last time Karsa and Akarium saw each other, they punched each other really hard.
I think
love it.
I don't know. I think, Josh, that it could be whatever is coming up on the Cutter Heboric Scillara Fellison camp, because they right before this final scene, we get them at camp and everybody wakes up and is afraid of something. Like Grey Frog senses something. They wake Heboric up and he's like, we have to go.
Can you imagine if they were also near the demon and we're just going to get a big old fucking party?
Or maybe they sense Karsa and they're afraid of Karsa. I don't know.
Well, that could be, I guess.
Because Akarium and Mappo, when they met Karsa last time, they were traveling the steps or whatever, like on the by that waterfall. So I don't know how they would like re-meet. Like I don't know how they would come back across each other, because I don't know. I think Karsa would have like passed them and then come back, and they would have kept going. Well, so now they're like doubly far apart.
I guess we'll see, AJ. I'm not good at geography, so
I guess. Pete, did you want to finish your intro to this part?
No, my. So this wraps up book 1 of Bonehunters. India, what's your impression of the book so far?
It's all right. I like it. It's okay. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like you guys really love these chapters. For me, I was just kind of meh about them. They kind of were boring for me. So I didn't love it, but I push on. I really liked the scene with Perrin and Absolar, though. I thought that was interesting. That was good for me.
Aj, first impression of this book, book 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was super hot on these chapters, but I think as far as like the expository chapters go of like, here are the players, here's what the story is kind of going. Like, I think these first 6 chapters did a really great job. And I'm happy again to be back with my friends, all the people that I haven't seen for 2 books, maybe 3 books. It's great.
J-Bone?
I'm with AJ. I think it does a really good job of being like, I know it was a sad book last time, but hey, remember your old pals? It does a really good job of doing that.
Yeah, it kind of holds your hand and pats your back through this whole first 6 books before we get into some really fucked up stuff, I imagine.
Yes, for sure.
All right, everybody. Well, that'll do us here for today on the show. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think of the show at 10 Very Big Books on Twitter and Gmail. And next episode,
it's all chapter 7.
Should be a good one. Talk to you then. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. Producer AJ here, getting ready for my second vaccine tonight. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you'd like to give us your thoughts or feelings about this or any of our episodes, you can head on over to our Twitter at 10verybigbooks, or you can email us 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, or you can head on over to our Discord, bit.ly/VBB Discord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D Discord. That link will also be in our show notes. Of course, thank you to all of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to pledge to our Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. That link will also be in the show notes. Our next episode will be about only Chapter 7. It's a big chapter, literally and figuratively, so we're going to make it a special one, formatting it specially, doing some special things. All that to say, we want to hear from you. What did you think about Chapter 7 when you first read it? What has stuck with you? What did it make you feel? Whatever you want to say, we want to hear it, so please send us a voice memo. It's as easy as following the link in our description and recording yourself for 1 minute. We want to be able to put as many of you as we can on the episode, so please try your best to keep your thoughts brief-ish. Again, that voice memo link will be in the show notes. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at @A_W_Dan_G for the hottest Hulu live sports takes. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode is by the one, the only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on May 7th, where we will be discussing The Bonehunters, Chapter 7. Again, if you want to send us a voice memo, please visit that link in the show notes. I'll talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.